the speakers. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Initiative, when we started to plan for our presidency, we were looking at quite an ambitious game plan, but then it was very ambitious. But as you know, Corona came in, so we had to really work on an extra layer of complexity as our Croatian partners before us have experienced, and our Portuguese partners are experiencing it now, virtual conference, etc. But it will not surprise you that as German ambassador, I can say that we were quite happy with the outcome of our presidency, with the achievements which we could reach. And many of these results, one has to be honest, came rather late in the game. December was quite a busy month, including the last days' actions on Brexit and the very last days leading to an agreement with China. But let me first make some remarks concerning the overall picture before I turn to the common foreign and security policy in particular. And I know we have prepared some slides, so I think we would have a look at the first slide. That's it, yeah. So thank you. Our first goal as a start was preserving the Council's and therefore the EU's capability to act under COVID-19 conditions. That was essential. And as you are aware, many plans for informal gatherings and big reunions had to be cancelled or reshuffled. Most prominently, for example, the EU-China summit in full format, meaning with all the European leaders present in Leipzig in September. That had been our plan, but that was not possible. But as I just said, we think that we were able, given the circumstances, to achieve some considerable progress and successes. And these include, I think that's the main issue, the agreement on the multi-annual financial framework and the next generation EU instrument. You will remember the difficult topics of macroeconomic conditionality and most prominent, the rule of law mechanism. These include further the successes, the agreement on an increased 2030 climate target, and we think some progress on the European climate law. The German chair in the end also was able to coordinate the Council's positions on the negotiations with the UK, preparing for the agreement on the future relationship in December 2020. Please take the new slide. The German presidency was not able to finalize all projects that we need to say. However, we think that in many areas, we also were able to at least achieve some substantial progress. And for example, the negotiations on the new pact on migration and asylum led to a presidency progress report, although we didn't have the final breakthrough. Similar vein, we prepared the negotiation frameworks on the EU accession of North Macedonia and Albania, including the implementation of the new enlargement methodology. But as you know, we were not able to come to the opening. In addition, we achieved progress on the conference on the future of Europe, which should kick off on May 9, the Day for Europe. Next slide, please. When it comes to the common foreign and security policy, our main goal was to contribute to strengthening the EU's capacity to act as a global player. This includes the work on strengthening the transatlantic partnership in cooperation with the new Biden administration. And we are very happy that the EU foreign ministers had the first exchange of views with the American counterpart just recently. The German presidency was also able to reach a political agreement between the EU and China on the EU-China investment agreement. We did not forget other players on the global scale as well. In this vein, the EU forged a strategic partnership with ASEAN, and we held an informal conference on the level of foreign ministers with Latin American and the Caribbean. In addition, and I think some of that was pretty important here for our host country, the Netherlands, the EU added some new instruments to its CFSP toolbox, most prominently the human rights sanction regime, commonly known as the European Magnitsky Law, or the European Peace Facility. Next slide, please. There should become some more. Yeah. The results of the presidential elections in the US in November 2020 opened up a new prospect for strengthening the transatlantic partnership, to put it diplomatically. The speech of President Biden at the Munich Security Conference last weekend was a most welcome confirmation of the new administration's wish of cooperation with Europe on a wide range of common interests, from climate change to Iran, but also on China, as they said very clearly. There are also grounds for new optimism that after some difficult years for multilateralism, we can achieve new momentum for global solutions to global challenges. The US would certainly be a welcome addition to the Alliance for Multilateralism. And I'm very glad that the Netherlands play a very proactive role in this alliance. Nevertheless, it's now Europe's task to make best use of these new prospects. This work has already started under the German presidency with Council conclusions adopting a roadmap set by the Commission. Concerning China, the last weeks of the German EU presidency came with a political agreement on major aspects of the EU-China investment agreement. This agreement can bring huge advantages for European companies with better access to the Chinese market and with better protection of intellectual property and progress in the field of level playing field. However, the EU is also cognizant of our interests when it comes to human rights issues or the One China policy, including Hong Kong and Taiwan. Germany will continue to support the High Representative and the European External Action Service in close cooperation with the Portuguese presidency to find a solution to these questions too. Recalling the EU's relations with the US and China will help us to become a stronger player on the global stage and to be able to better protect Europe's interests and the interests of all Europeans. I said recalling the EU's relations, I meant recalibrating. However, in order to achieve this ambitious goal, we cannot ignore the many challenges in Europe's vicinity. In NATO terms, the arch of instability, reaching from our eastern borders, from situation in Russia and Ukraine, White Russia, or Belarus, via the Caucasus and the Middle East to Libya and the Sahel. Under the German presidency, the EU has reacted by imposing sanctions on Belarusian and Russian officials guilty of massive human rights violations in suppressing peaceful demonstrators and dissidents like Alexei Navalny. The same goes for spoilers in the Libyan peace process. And you saw just the other day that the European Union has agreed on further sanctions with respect to Mr. Navalny. The agreement on the EU's human rights sanction regime, pushed strongly also by the Dutch government, Foreign Minister Blok, is a welcome addition to the toolbox of the common foreign and security policy. It makes it easier for the EU to react swiftly and decisively to new deteriorating situations. Now that we have this tool at our disposal, we should use it wisely. It means rather sooner than later, in a geographically balanced fashion. Other new tools, and just to highlight them, are the new European Center of Excellence for Civilian Crisis Management in Berlin and the European Peace Facility. The agreement on the latter was one of the first successes of the Portuguese EU presidency. Next slide, please. When it comes to the Balkans, the German presidency, and I said that before, was not able to fulfill all our ambitions. Despite personal engagement on the highest level, we were not able to hold the first intergovernmental conference on accession with either North Macedonia or Albania. Nevertheless, also in this area, we made some progress on the negotiation frameworks once the so-called IGCs come, and mainly because of progress in Macedonia and Albania themselves. Working on the adoption of the EU acquis in crucial areas like democracy and the rule of law. This progress is not in vain and will soon lead to the next step in the accession process. Last but not least, the southern neighborhood. The Team Europe approach has already delivered some results in coping with COVID-19, but we have to do more. This is one reason why the Federal Chancellor has announced an additional German contribution on 1.5 billion euros to the COVAX initiative in order to provide poorer countries with COVID-19 vaccination. Portugal is right in putting the focus of its EU presidency in the area of common foreign and security policy on the southern neighborhood, especially Africa. Germany will continue to support our CFSP efforts, ranging from EU missions to COVID-19 vaccination programs, as I just mentioned. But now we will be doing that as one of the 27 member states. And it was a good ride for the last 6 months in terms of being in the presidency chair. But it's also good after 6 months to have somebody else do that. Thank you, and looking forward to our debate.
Ambassador, thank you very much for sharing your insights. And now I would like to give the floor to Dr. Joris Larik.